Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our next matchup for UFC 324. In this matchup, we have our main card opener, and boy, let me tell you, this is easily one of the best fights on the card, quite possibly my favorite fight on the card, and I think the sleeper of the card, easily the one that I think could steal fight of the night. We have Arnold Almighty Allen taking on Jean Lord Sliva. Just a fantastic featherweight scrap. Two very high level operators in the featherweight division. Pretty well rounded. Both guys can do just about everything and can finish their opponents in either by knocking them out or submitting them. I would say Sliva is much more dangerous than Allen, but that's not to say Allen doesn't have finishing potential for sure. Plus, you look at their last five. For Sliva, he's 4-1 in his last five. He was on a nice 5-fight win streak in the UFC. Four of those being, of course, all these were finishes. Knocked out Charles Jourdain, TKO Drew Dober via doctor stoppage, knocked out Melsik Bagdasaryan, and then most recently, his last victory was last April, submitting Bryce Mitchell. In his most recent fight, he lost to Diego Lopez, where Sliva was just simply overzealous, hunted for the finish, and got caught. Meanwhile, Allen is 3-2 in his last five fights. He's on a pretty good win streak himself, beating names like Dan Hooker and Calvin Kattar. Then got a big opportunity against Max Holloway. Fell short, unfortunately, but it's Max Holloway. Most people lose to him. And then similarly lost to Mozart Evloev. But then in his most recent fight, defeated Giga Chikadze. Now, that fight was quite a while ago, about a year and a half ago, at UFC 304, July of 2024. So, Allen's been out for quite a while. Now, as the reason for, I honestly have no idea. I don't know if it was injuries or simply couldn't find an opponent. But, yeah, Allen's been out for quite a while. This is his first fight back. Now he goes against one of the most dangerous ranked contenders in the division. That's quite a task for Allen. But I'll say this: Allen's not a fish out of water. He's an incredibly skilled featherweight for sure, and one of the most well-rounded guys in the division. But with that being said, let's get down to the breakdown. Starting with Arnold Allen. He is a very measured technical striker with good solid takedowns and takedown defense. He doesn't really use his wrestling as much, more so defensive wrestling. He's very methodical in the cage, prefers to set up his strikes rather than throw and burst. And Allen's footwork and head movement often allow him to control distance, avoid getting countered, and land the cleaner shots. He's also very comfortable on the ground, but usually looks to strike first and only takes fights to the mat where there's a clear advantage, or he just sees an opportunity. Most of Allen's finishes are by like guillotines or power guillotines, like ninja chokes. And he usually just does that if his opponents try and take him down. I'd say Allen's biggest strength is for sure his composure. I've rarely panics, can absorb shots without losing rhythm, and typically fights at a pace that favors Allen's precision. However, that precision-heavy style can struggle when opponents don't fight on his terms and force him into uncomfortable scenarios. Think of it, Holloway, who was top-tier striker in the division, simply never really let Allen settle. And unfortunately, just kind of was playing catch-up for most of that fight. And then you take the opposite end of that spectrum. He fought a top-tier wrestler in Evloev, and while Allen had good moments and was scrambling his ass off, he just could not get away when Evloev had his hands on him. And also, as we always say, the threat of the takedowns lead to striking opportunities, and that's exactly what Evloev did. Now, looking at Jean Sliva, he is a force of nature. He is a very aggressive, forward-moving striker who thrives on volume, pressure, and showmanship for sure. Sliva, he comes out swinging, mixes punches and kicks, and doesn't really give opponents time to settle. Sliva's dangerous in those chaotic exchanges because he's willing to take the risk. Like besides throwing basic strikes like jab cross, hooks, or stuff like that, he'll often do the no-look spinning back elbow, or the no-look spinning back elbow, like he consistently did against Diego Lopez, and the one he landed consistently on Drew Dober. Momentum, that is Silva's biggest weapon. Silva's forward pressure and unpredictability make him hard to time. Even if he doesn't land clean initially, he can force opponents to react under duress, and that's where mistakes happen in it. Silva's striking power is legit. I mean, he knocked out Bagdasarian with basically the first real clean shot he landed. He's the first person to knock out Charles Jourdain, who has historically never been finished by strikes. And even he has submissions too. You saw it with Bryce Mitchell. He clamped on that ninja toe and squeezed the life out of Mitchell. And as I mentioned before, showmanship is another big part of Silva's game. You see it all the time when he fights. He looks to sort of display a level of calm and joyousness, if you will, to his opponents, like either the glove touch or just simple like gestures and stuff. Silva does it all the time, and it kind of, I think he's just trying to like lower the intensity of the fight. And then boom, right then it just explode with something crazy and catch his opponents off guard. Plus, he also does what I think I've mentioned this before. He kind of does a John Jones thing where Silva looks to beat his opponents at what they're best at, whether that's out brawling Drew Dober, out techniquing a more karate-esque striker in Weston Wilson, or Meltic Bagdasarian. And then with Diego Lopez, he did the same thing. He tried to out-brawl the berserker in Diego Lopez. Unfortunately, he got caught for it. Now, when it comes down to how these styles clash, I think it really comes down to pace and control. Because Allen's going to prefer structure, striking, and clean exchanges. Now, I know he can fight at a chaotic pace, like when he did against Dan Hooker, where he kind of just went balls to walls the moment he had Hooker hurt. He could do something like that, but more times than not, Arnold Allen's much better as a patient striker and better at chess match, if you will. Like I said, he can go berserk when he needs to, but that's usually not what he does. Like against Giga, Arnold Allen didn't really win by being a chaotic brawler. He stuck to a game plan, continuously pressured Giga, and used not only his superior gas tank, but just his overall structured striking to beat the more polished kickboxer. Meanwhile, you look at Silva, who's going to want to make this wild and force Allen to fight out of rhythm. So it really comes down to, can Silva maintain pressure early, or can Allen maintain a more technical game? Now, I think Allen will likely try to circle, measure, and counter, but Silva's volume and unpredictability could overwhelm that approach. But at the same time, Silva could leave himself opening if he's overzealous and overconfident like he was against Lopez. That's certainly a possibility. And of course, you never fully know how Silva's going to fight. Now, obviously, there's some idea, like, let's say he's going to do the gestures. He's going to do a lot of gamesmanship. He's going to look for that right hand as his power is legit. And I think he could legitimately hurt just about everybody in this division. It's just Diego Lopez has, I think, the best chin of all active featherweights. So, but part of it is, like, how is he going to fight structured like Allen, or is he going to be very chaotic? I think Allen thrives when Silva is slow or overcommits, because that's giving Allen exactly what he wants. Lean back and then fire off a 1-2. But I think this is honestly a very tough fight to call, but I think the biggest question mark is how good Arnold Allen is after the 1.5 year layoff. That's the biggest question I have. Because if he comes back in relatively good form, this is going to be a very tough fight for both guys, and a very close one at that. But if Allen has ring rust, then I think Jean Sliva can possibly finish him. So I think this is going to lean into my prediction. I'm going to go with Jean Sliva. I think Arnold Allen is technically superior in most aspects, at least with his grappling and wrestling. Striking, they're both pretty technical. Like I said, Sliva has much more wild and unorthodox technique. Allen is much more simple, but very structured. But I think Silva's forward pressure, unpredictability, and volume give him the edge. And I think if Silva comes out aggressive and forces Allen into messy exchanges, he can control, or sorry, Silva can take control of the fight quickly, and Allen just can't win this fight by being passive. And if Silva dictates the pace, I think it's over. So, once again, my official prediction, I'm going to pick Jean Sliva. I think he can get the knockout. I just think his power is too legit. And while Arnold Allen has a chin on him for sure, he has not fought a puncher, or sorry, yeah, he has not fought a heavy hitter like this in quite a while. Now, and plus, he got dropped by Holloway. Who, granted, Holloway has leveled up his power for sure, but I definitely think you look at some of the people Arnold Allen has fought as of recent, right? Just not just his last five, not just Giga, Cater, none of these guys, right? Sadiq Youssef, Nick Lenz, Gabriel, oh my God, Gilbert Melendez. Sorry about that. None of these guys hit as hard as Jean Silva. None of them. And I think Silva can get the KO here. So once again, I'm going to pick Jean Silva, and I'm going to pick him via knockout. But with that being said, that's been my breakdown of this fight. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on who you think is going to win. But until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening. And remember, stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see y'all next time.